Let's talk about the state of the economy for the remainder of 2021 and what my outlook is for 2022. We're going to discuss the housing market, any more stimulus. We're going to discuss stocks and investments and things of that nature. It's going to be jam-packed, all right? So you best believe you should watch this to the end for all that and more. It's Crystal with the Cash Compass. All right, welcome back. I am here to teach you all the things that you should have learned in school about money, but for whatever reason, they forgot to mention it. If you love all things personal finance, investing, economics, or if you just want a safe space to complain, here is the place for you. Go ahead and subscribe down below. Thank you in advance, and let's get into it. I think I did that backwards. These are just my candid thoughts. Normally, I will kind of script together something, but these are things that I just literally think about on a day-to-day basis because I'm a nerd and these are things that I literally think about. Let's start with the housing market because people love that. As I mentioned in my video up here, which I will tag talking about rent moratoriums, that has been extended until October at least. I wouldn't be surprised if it gets extended for another month and another month and another month. I don't know. It's just weird. Side note, when people are fearful, it's the best time to implement things that absolutely make no effing sense. And here's a perfect example of that. But I'm not going to get into that here. If you want more information on my thoughts about that, click that video that I have tagged up top. But because of that, I just want to say, number one, it's hard to make housing market videos because housing is super local. I mean, it could be different within the whole country, obviously, within your state, even within your city. There could be, differences, right? So I think seeing things at a overarching level when people are talking about the housing market in general across the country, it can be misleading, especially depending on how they get their information. Because if they're going by averages, well, the coastal cities are going to dramatically affect that, right? Pieces like, no disrespect, like maybe like Idaho or something. If you're from Idaho, shout out to you. But maybe they're not as impacted by recessions or by the coronavirus or by any kind of outlier event because it's a very calm, linear market, right? There's multiple markets. Markets along the coast tend to be people tend to like it more, right? Obviously, people want to live in those bigger cities. They want to live near the water. Those are much more heavily impacted by events around here because if there's a recession, if there's like something traumatic that happens, people are going to go move more inward because they think it's more affordable, right? So they're much more heavily impacted. So I can't honestly come here and tell you like, yes, things are all going to crash because it really depends on where you're at, right? So what can you do? Obviously, you can check. If you're curious, you have to really be a proactive member of your society and you could drive around. Do you see more for sale signs popping up or do you see that there's no for sale signs, right? That'll let you know what's going on. Conversely, you can go on the internet. You can go on realtor.com. You can go on Zillow. If you even just find a realtor and just say, hey, listen, I'm thinking of buying a home. Could you put me on your MLS listing? And they will set up certain parameters for you and you can see what's coming in and you can look for it yourself and say, hey, prices are going down, prices are going up. You must do the research on your own. There is no one video that is going to give you the information unless they're in your city and giving you information on your city. So if you're going to look it up, you can probably type in like housing market in Miami, housing market in New York, things like that. But housing, who knows what the hell's going to happen, all right? Overarching for this whole rent moratorium, as long as there's going to be stimuluses in place, that will keep kicking the can down the road. People cannot evict people, and some people are still getting protected under their mortgages too. People are also a little bit fearful because it's now we have the new variant that's going on. So you might want to stay put, right? People might not be making big moves as they normally would because of job security, because of the unknown. So that's also going to impact things. Can all that change tomorrow? Probably, but housing is a very slow moving market. Something dramatic can happen in stocks and it will be down in 3 minutes, right? If something happens in the housing market, it will take much longer. During the 2008 crisis, it took 4 years for the market to actually bottom. So let that kind of put things into perspective as how slow or how fast the market moves. I said this before, but I will say it again. If you are buying a property for an investment, I'm not going to say it doesn't matter how much you pay for it, but if it cash flows, then it's probably going to be a good deal. I do not want no one coming back here getting mad at me, right? But if you're looking for cash flow, right, and if you're looking to make a profit, that can be calculated no matter where we are in the business cycle. Now, would it be super unfortunate if you bought a home and then it plummets by 50%? Absolutely. But these are the things that you have to kind of consider when you are buying property. You know, like you have to consider, what if rent goes down? How much would rent go down by? Rent typically doesn't go down unless we are in some sort of like depression where people are losing their jobs all across the board and there is no stimulus. But we live in a stimulus world now, so who knows if we'll ever see a world without it, okay? And on the topic of stimulus, let's talk about more stimulus. I don't believe that we should want more stimulus. I don't know that we'll have it. It depends on how serious this whole Delta variant is. You know, we are also coming closer to the whole flu season, and that we might see some spikes there, right? So kind of hard to tell, but if we do go on another shutdown, I would imagine there would be more stimulus. I don't believe the stimulus did much for people with their bills. It probably propped the economy up, right? It got us out of the technical recession, because a recession is 2 quarters of negative growth. But if everybody's spending this, free money, which is not free, but if they all spend that money, it could just look good. Everything just looks good. It's all smokes and mirrors, right? And oh my God, I'm really trying to choose my words carefully because I have a lot to say. I said I was going to make a Patreon account and I never did because it was just a lot of work. But I just have a lot of opinions, and I know if I say it on here, people are going to get mad. YouTube might ban me. I don't know what's going to go on, but I got opinions. I feel twofold about the stimulus, though. If we're going to create this money out of nowhere and inflate our dollars, then it's good that the people can get it, right? Like, give it here, all right? Because y'all been getting it. The government has been getting it. These corporations have been getting it, and nothing has been improving, right? But if I had to choose, if we're going to create money and then do all this dumb stuff, like buy back our stocks, no. Let's create an infrastructure. So like, this new infrastructure bill, I have to be honest, I have not gotten down into the details about it. But just taking it at face level, if we're going to be creating money to improve our infrastructure, to improve our technology, to actually create jobs and put us back up top, maybe to invest in our education, things of that nature, then I'm all for it, right? Because all money is created, let's be honest, right? Every currency out here is created and printed. So if we're going to actually create it and print it, not to just give to people to just shop mindlessly, but to actually stimulate our economy, to actually be a force to be reckoned with, maybe to increase our manufacturing, right? So we're not depending on China for everything. I mean, things like that I think would be really good, but that's just not fun, right? It's not fun. It's going to be hard work and long work, so they don't want to do that. They want to take shortcuts, which is like, just give these people the money so they can spend it, so we can look like we're a good economy, but deep down we're really not, right? It's not sexy to wait 10 years to have all these manufacturing companies come up. It's not sexy to invest in R&D and have to let years and years go by before we actually find better infrastructure, better technology. Those things require a lot of money. It requires an educated population, but those are the things that actually propel the world, right? So if we were investing in that, I'm all for it. I don't necessarily agree with just giving people money just for the hell of it. I really believe it's going to come back to bite everybody in the butt. I really do, because we can't just be sitting around unproductive. There's something good that you feel good about learning more things, about building things, about actually, giving into the society. And those things, I think, is a kind of human nature. And if we didn't have that, I wouldn't be recording right now, right? Because who made this camera? Thank you, Canon. Thank you, the fellas at Canon and the ladies at Canon. I appreciate y'all for putting your minds together and letting me even do this, right? If we don't have that, we're not going to have technology. We're not going to have advancement. And I want a flying car, all right? So let's put money into that. What about investing? Nothing goes up in a straight line, right? So there is going to be peaks and valleys as we move through, life. But I think as far as cryptocurrency, it's a very volatile market. Can't really speak too much on that. There's not a lot of history either. Bond market and stock market, they all work together, right? They all work together, period. Precious metals, bond market, stock market, cryptocurrencies. If the money is leaving the cryptocurrency space, it's going somewhere else. So it might be going into bonds, it might be going into stocks, it might be going into savings, right? But it's moving. So that's why things don't always all the way go up, because people are reallocating, people are reassessing, and they're making changes accordingly. But as long as we have the government's foot, or their hands in the mashed potatoes, you best believe that things are going to be going up, maybe not in a straight line, but kind of trending upwards, okay? Because they're putting this money into the economy. When you put money into the economy, the money has to go somewhere, and the money is really, when they put into the economy, it's touching the top first, okay? It's not equally distributed. The stimulus checks were the first kind of thing that I've seen where it's like, okay, we're giving money at the bottom first, but they've been doing a top-down approach, which has not been working. They've been giving it to these big companies have been buying out their own stock. They've been paying their CEOs and CFOs more. And those people who are sophisticated have been putting their money in the stock market or investments. So you'll see housing going up. You'll see stocks going up because of that reason, right? Because they're putting money into these stock market, right? So it's going up because the money's been touching the top. Even though we did get some stimulus kind of from the bottom up, best believe that the higher dogs are still getting stimulus too, and they're still putting that money into their own investments because they want to become richer. That's just, everybody wants to make more money. So as long as the government is, kind of in the free market, I think we can expect to see investments going up because they're putting money into the economy, right? The only way I can see things going down, and it would honestly be temporary, is if there's like some sort of news, right? Like when the coronavirus first came out, the stock market plunged, okay? But now look at us. We are higher and we're reaching all-time highs all the time. They've kind of went into overdrive with this whole stimulus thing. So I wouldn't be surprised to see it keep going up until we see differently. Typically, the bond market would indicate fear first. So people don't really spend a lot of time on the bond market. If you want me to make a video discussing the bond market, let me know in the comments. But that is your first indication of things kind of going awry, because people tend to flee there for a safe haven because it's kind of like the risk-free rate, right? Because the government has, at least not now, not technically ever defaulted on anything. So they call it the risk-free rate because if you put your money in, treasuries in the bond market from the government, you are almost guaranteed to get paid back. It may be in inflated dollars, but you're going to get your money back, okay? So that's the whole premise of that. People rush into that because they're seeking safety. They're seeking a guaranteed return. So when you see that happening, you know that you need to go a step further and look at crude oil, maybe look at stock market, and then you can make your decisions accordingly. So basically, my outlook for 2021 and 2022 is as long as we keep on having these things that are fear-mongering people, right? These new variants, crazy stories about people like losing their lungs and things like that because of COVID, that will justify more stimulus. That will justify more money printing. That will justify the government buying, these mortgage-backed securities, by issuing bonds. Like, it's going to encourage all of that. Those things are very stock market positive. Those things are going to inflate the housing market. We are in a not so free market because we have a lot of factors manipulating it to make it look good, right? If things were allowed to go down like they probably should have, we would not be anywhere near stock market prices that we are at right now. Evictions would have been running rampant, and there would probably be more supply on the housing market. Things would, return to normal, but we don't really have that because we have a lot of influences kind of dictating how things should go. And because we have allowed this to go on for so long, I don't see why it wouldn't go on for any longer. But let me know what you think. I really appreciate your advice when you put good things in the comments. I'm going to pin things that are good. I wish you could pin more than one thing, but please let me know what you think. Please add your advice. You guys are so smart, and I love reading your comments, so throw it in the comments below. But that will do it. If you like this video, then please be sure to like this video, and of course share it with your friends. Don't be stingy with this information, okay? And if you have nothing else going on, you know what to do. Go ahead and binge watch me. And until next time, keep your money up.